Let's talk a little Niners. One of the stories that we want to get to is this one. Our friend Raj from RSF 49ers says the contracts for Niners, Jauan Jennings, Jordan Elliott, Yatir Gross-Matos will expire today, which will create a combined $14.4 million of dead cap space for the 2026 season, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. The Niners had over $103 million of dead cap last year. They had the third most dead cap, and their number this year will be quite a bit lower. But of these three guys, I kind of think this is an interesting post by Raj, because Eddie Pinheiro is the free agent they have to sign and will sign. I do think they'll re-sign some of the special teams guys. John Weeks, Thomas Morstead, maybe Sky Moore. I think those guys could be back. But the real question is these three guys. And these are the three guys, Yatir Gross-Matos, Jordan Elliott, and Jauan Jennings, that I think if you looked at the Niners, they have 28 free agents. I think 21 unrestricted. These are probably the three guys that may return, and they're probably the best players that they have that are free agents. What do you think, Chase? You're looking right at them. There's Jauan Jennings, Jordan Elliott, and Yatir Gross-Matos. Gross-Matos played well early in the year as an interior rusher before Bosa went down. He also helped them at times late in the year as an outside rusher. He had a problem staying healthy. He had a problem staying healthy at Penn State. Jordan Elliott kind of played, I thought, some of his best ball with the Niners, and we all know about Jauan. Are you bringing any of these guys back, or are you saying goodbye to all three? Where do you stand on these three?
Can't do it with Yatir Gross-Matos. I liked him coming out of Penn State, the wingspan, the athleticism, the physicality. He was a second-round pick by the Carolina Panthers, and he didn't work out immediately for Carolina. His last year with the Panthers, I thought he played pretty well, and he was able to springboard that into getting a 2-year, $18 million deal with the Niners. And I had liked that at the time because I thought he was a good scheme fit. You could play him at defensive end, at defensive tackle. We've seen defensive line coach Chris Kocurek really be able to maximize some defensive linemen. Unfortunately for Yatir Gross-Matos, though, he was never able to stay healthy in his 2 years as a Niner. When he was on the field, I thought he played pretty well. But for a team that is looking to get healthier and escape this injury bug that has derailed a lot of their seasons and has hurt them since 2013, I can't bring back a Yatir Gross-Matos. And I know that we're talking about injuries here, but I'd rather allocate that type of money to a player like Joey Bosa. And I'm surprised that I've warmed up to the idea, but if you could go Yatir Gross-Matos or Joey Bosa, I think I'd go Joey Bosa. He's been healthier the last 2 years. I think he's a better pass rusher than Yatir Gross-Matos is. He's, of course, older, but I thought he played really well for Buffalo this past year. He had 47 pressures, an overall PFF grade, 79.3. He had the 7th highest pass rush grade among all pass rushers in football with 88.7. He had 30 hurries, 12 quarterback hits, and 5 sacks. At this point, I also don't think that he's going to be that expensive. And if you pair him opposite of Nick Bosa, of course, you keep your fingers crossed that they can stay healthy, but I think that he would be a more productive player who makes more sense. As far as Jordan Elliott goes, he's never been known to be a pass rushing defensive tackle, and he's not going to cost that much either. He would be an affordable veteran who helps you stop the run. But I'm good on Jordan Elliott because I think the Niners already have 2 blossoming, really good young players at defensive tackle who are talented in stopping the run in CJ West. It was great to interview him at the Super Bowl. And then Alfred Collins. And I think you want to build around them. I think what the Niners need to do at defensive tackle is actually bring in interior defensive linemen who can get after the quarterback a little bit better. And then lastly, there's Jauan Jennings. For me, it's all about the price tag. $15 million is probably the neighborhood I'd be comfortable in paying Jauan. You need to get faster, more explosive on offense. He doesn't help you there. You were the oldest offense in the NFL this past year. He's going to be 29 when the 2026 season comes around. And so if he's willing to take around 15, I'd think about bringing him back as like your wide receiver 3, Ricky Pearsall is your wide receiver 2, and then either in the draft or in free agency, you acquire that wide receiver 1 just because of the injury problems and concerns with Ricky Pearsall. But if it's over $15 million, I know that Jauan Jennings has been so clutch. And I know that he's had a bunch of great moments. He's been an awesome developmental story for this Niners organization as a former 7th-round pick who didn't even make the 53-man roster his rookie year. And then he got better and better and better as his career progressed. And he has been a player who really defines what it's like to be a Niner, playing with physicality, playing good team ball, willing to make sacrifices, being a dog. But I think a team might overpay him. And if that's the case, I think you let him walk in that instance.
I've been using Cash App for a while now. It's just an easy way to send money, keep track of spending, and use a card that actually fits how I pay for things day to day. And they just launched something new I think is worth knowing about. Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend called Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with Cash App, with the Cash App card or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, higher borrow limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit Cash App/new to learn more about this and get great features launching now. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code CashApp10, CashApp10 in their profile at sign up. And send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Green, overdraft coverage, borrow cashback offers and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit Cash App/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Yeah, I think I'd let all three of these guys walk away. Gross Matos has been too hurt. As you mentioned, Elliott's more of a run player. They need a pass rusher. Jennings, I just think, I think Jennings is a really tough player. I really like Jennings a lot, but I just think that the odds that the way he was weepy at the end of the year tells me that he knows that he's gone. And the reason he knows he's gone is because he probably knows where the Niners are willing to go to, and he knows his market's graduated beyond that. And that's all great for him, right? That his market's burgeoning like that and exploding, but it's not great for the Niners. And I think it's not great for anybody who wants to see him come back. So I think he's probably out of there. Let's talk for a second about ideal fits, because you hit on something there. I agree with you. I think the 49ers need very specific players. Like, give you an example. They need a defensive tackle, but they don't just need any defensive tackle. They've got CJ West. They got Alfred Collins. They need Zane Durant. Now, I'm a big Zane Durant fan from Penn State. He's a pass rusher. He's 6'1", 6'2". He's 288, 290. But he's a runner. He's got great speed, and he's almost like a linebacker the way he moves. And to me, that's the kind of piece that I would want to add inside to West and Collins. If they could add Zane Durant, I like that three defensive tackle arrangement with two guys that can really, play the run, and then one guy that can really get after the rusher or after the quarterback. Who do you think? I'm throwing out Durant. Is there another interior player that you think's a good fit?
Well, I love the Zane Durant thought. I actually just released my first Niners mock draft of the draft season this morning on the 49ers Report, so be sure to check that video out. And I had the Niners taking Zane Durant 4th round, 138 overall. And I agree with you. I think that, of course, there are some concerns with his lack of size as an interior defensive lineman because, to your point, he's hovering around 290 pounds. But that's the type of interior defensive lineman who the Niners need to target to really bounce off of who they already have. Alfred Collins is 6'6", 330. And he's really good against the run. Can he get better as a pass rusher? No doubt about it. I thought he really progressed and improved as his rookie year wore on. CJ West is a player who's shorter than Alfred Collins, but he's got some girth to him, and he's got strong, violent hands with a good get-off. He, too, can hold up well against the run. You bring in a player like Zane Durant, who has that explosive get-off at the line of scrimmage, who's able to get skinny in beating double teams when he's not getting swallowed up by those double teams because of his lack of size. This is a player who is very explosive and twitchy. He's one of the better athletes in this draft class. He made Bruce Feldman's preseason list of the top freaks across college football. So I think that's the type of player that they need to pinpoint. Another player who I had going to the Niners in my mock draft, who had a really good Senior Bowl, and he actually bulldozed Markel Bell, the offensive tackle out of Miami, who's damn near 360 pounds. And I had Markel Bell going to the Niners in my mock draft as well in the 3rd round. But in the 2nd round, I went with Derek Moore, the edge rusher out of Michigan. Derek Moore is another player who has that fast get off. He's a really good athlete. He's willing to set the edge against the run. He needs to get a little bit better there, but he has a really good arsenal of pass rushing moves. And that's the direction that I kind of want to see the Niners go into come in draft time, because this addresses needs. I think these players complement some of the players that the Niners already have on their roster. And so I had Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M, going to the Niners in the 1st round. Derek Moore, the edge rusher out of Michigan, to the Niners in the 2nd round. Markel Bell, you address the offensive line with a future potential Trent Williams replacement in the 3rd round. Bryce Betcher is an uber athletic linebacker out of Oregon who got drafted by the Astros and has really good range. That's a good player to put alongside Fred Warner. He's a see ball, get ball type of player. Bishop Fitzgerald is a ball hawking safety who I have going to the Niners in the 4th round out of USC. Had 5 picks this past year and a coverage grade of nearly 90. And then Zane Durant and Pat Coogan, the center, rounding out my mock.